I was there with a friend of mine who also looks similar to me, is from a Muslim background. I expected some hostility.
People online often describe rallies like this one as hateful or extremist. But watch what happened.
Sohail, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you also went on the United Kingdom march yesterday. Tell us what you experienced.
So I didn't know what to expect fully. I expected some hostility, maybe. I was there with a friend of mine who also looks similar to me, is from a Muslim background. And much to my surprise, I experienced no hostility whatsoever. Not even a single kind of dirty look, not even any kind of uncomfortable experience whatsoever. In fact, I spoke to a lot of people at the march and we got along quite well. Most people there were incredibly friendly. In fact, I was much surprised about how reasonable many of the people there were. I spoke to a kind gentleman who was actually surprisingly pro-immigration. He said he's more than happy with immigration. He's happy that Britain is a cultural melting pot. He just wanted people to integrate. And I said to him, I entirely agree with you. And then I said to him, what if I told you I knew someone who was radicalized and who hated Britain once and then de-radicalized and now works in counter-extremism and counter-terrorism and loves this country? And he said, oh, that would be quite a journey. I'd really like to meet him. And I said, yeah, you're speaking to him now. And he was very taken aback and very kind of like, oh, wow, it's such an honor to meet you. And I just didn't expect any of that, to be honest.
Sorry to interrupt, Sohail. Do you mind me asking, what were you expecting and why were you expecting it to be different?
That's a very good question she's asked him.
Do you mind me asking, what were you expecting and why were you expecting it to be different?
I wasn't expecting too much overt hostility. I've been to a demonstration like this before. I think it was a while back in the Netherlands. I actually spoke to Tommy Robinson one-on-one. But I was kind of expecting maybe some kind of issues, but nothing, not what I expected, not the level of friendliness and acceptance that I experienced. That said, there's a distinction I'd make between the everyday people who were there, and people there were just the people you'd meet in the post office, in like Sainsbury's, and just kind of, you know, at the football match. But I'd make a distinction between them and the people who were organizing the rally and the people who were kind of speaking and addressing the rally. Because on the one hand, the people attending the rally were very reasonable, very moderate, very kind, very just outward looking. But on the other, it seemed to me that the organizers of the rally and the people speaking to the rally were kind of using calculated language at points, designed to incite, and sometimes were kind of engaging in outright fabrications. And it's important to note that you might think, well, you know, those people were normal, you know, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But you have to remember that when it comes to group psychology, when there's so many people together, there's a big difference between the individuals who make up that group and what the group then becomes. Because when people are in a protest, their kind of social inhibitions go down. They kind of get caught up in it all. The person becomes the group and the group becomes the person.
Okay, I think he's got a point there.
And in those situations, as has been shown countless times before, and has been shown and has been studied by psychologists and sociologists extensively, protesters, peaceful protesters, people with no criminal background whatsoever, can, in a few minutes, go from completely peaceful to just rioting. And that's kind of what I was concerned about. Thankfully, that did not happen.
Thankfully, that did not happen. Those were his words. Now, this is where perception and reality start colliding. Because online, the conversations are usually presented in very simple terms. Good people, bad people. But real life is rarely that simple. Some people will see extremism. Others will see people that are willing to talk. But what do you see?